Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to help you get quickly up to speed on the important current affairs topics for your UPSC preparation. Today is April 18th, 2025, and this is part one of our analysis. Now, some of these topics might be new, others could be useful revision. We'll dig into the sources and pull out what really matters. And hey, if you find this useful, please do like and subscribe for more deep dives like this one.
Definitely. Today, we've got quite a mix. We're looking at tech, digital security, some environmental news with key geography points, defense updates, even a medical reclassification and infrastructure. Lots to cover relevant for the syllabus.
Great. Let's start with WAVES 2025 and this anti-piracy challenge. Seems very relevant today with everything being digital.
It really is. This is an initiative under the Create in India umbrella, which signals, the government's focus on boosting homegrown innovation. The Anti-Piracy Challenge itself is a flagship event of WAVES. That's the World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit.
WAVES, okay. So what's the bigger picture with that?
Well, think of WAVES as India's big platform to really position itself as a global hub for media innovation and content creation.
Mm-hmm.
The summit's actually happening soon, May 1st to 4th, 2025, over Mumbai.
And the challenge specifically, what's its main goal that aspirants should note?
The core aim is to push forward technologies like digital fingerprinting and watermarking. These are absolutely vital tools for fighting digital piracy, which is a huge problem, as you know.
Right, affects everything.
Exactly, from films to music to even educational materials. So understanding government efforts here, particularly around IP and the digital economy, that's quite important for UPSC.
And WAVES itself, you mentioned it's broader than just piracy.
Oh, absolutely. The scope is huge. It's
Yeah.
organized by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and it covers everything from, traditional films and TV to radio, animation, gaming, comics, advertising.
We're up like the list.
And even the emerging tech like generative AI, AR, VR, XR, digital platforms. It really shows India's ambition to not just consume media, but to lead in creating and innovating within that whole space.
So it ties into the economy too.
Precisely. It's designed to give a significant boost to India's creative economy that's already valued at around, $30 billion and employs roughly 8% of the workforce. Plus, it supports the wider media and entertainment sector, which is projected to hit over $44 billion by 2028. We're already the fifth largest globally, so this is about building on that strength.
And you mentioned soft power earlier. How does WAVES fit in there?
Well, by actively promoting our cultural exports, think films, music, games, and encouraging international collaborations, WAVES directly enhances India's global influence. It helps build connections.
Like co-productions.
Exactly. Things like co-productions with other countries can take Indian stories and values to a much wider audience. It's about strategically amplifying our cultural reach, our soft power.
Okay, fascinating. Let's switch gears to technology. Google's Ironwood TPU. Now, for those of us not deep into chip design, what exactly is a TPU?
All right, so a TPU, or Tensor Processing Unit, is basically a custom-designed computer chip. Google makes them specifically to speed up AI and machine learning tasks. They're really good at handling the kind of massive parallel calculations AI needs, and they're pretty power efficient too.
And Ironwood is the latest one.
Yes, it's their 7th generation. What's particularly interesting about Ironwood is its focus on inference.
Inference.
Yeah, so you have training AI models teaching them. Then you have inference, which is where the trained model actually uses what it learned to make predictions or generate outputs on new data. Ironwood is heavily optimized for that inference part.
And what does that signal? A shift toward?
It suggests a move towards more, let's say, proactive AI systems. Systems that can constantly process information and offer insights or take actions based on real-time data. Think AI-driven medical diagnosis, maybe smarter city management.
And it's powerful.
Hugely powerful. It boasts a peak compute of over 4,600 teraflops, which is a massive jump. And you can scale these up into huge clusters. We're talking potentially over 9,000 chips linked together. Google claims a full cluster could generate up to 42.5 exaflops. They even said that's more than 24 times the compute power of the world's current largest supercomputer, El Capitan. Plus, it has significantly more memory per chip.
Incredible numbers. Okay, let's shift again, this time to the environment. Tanzania recorded its highest average annual temperature in 2024. Why is this relevant for an aspirant in India?
Well, climate change is a global issue, isn't it? What happens in one region often has knock-on effects elsewhere. Tanzania's record temperature, 24.3 degrees C, about 0.7 degrees C above normal, is a clear climate signal. Understanding these trends is crucial for discussions on climate policy, international cooperation, and even things like food security and migration, which are all interconnected and relevant to the syllabus.
And geographically, can you quickly remind us about Tanzania?
Sure. It's in East Africa, south of the equator, borders Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique. So quite a few neighbors. It also sits on major lakes, Victoria, Tanganyika, which is the world's second deepest, and Nyasa, plus the Indian Ocean coast, generally a tropical climate.
Key features.
Mount Kilimanjaro, of course, Africa's highest peak, the dormant volcano, and major rivers like the Ruvuma and Rufiji. Lake Tanganyika is also a really significant geographical feature there.
Okay, and I see a note here about geopolitical importance to India.
Yes, definitely. Tanzania is a really important partner for India in Africa. Its location on the Indian Ocean is strategically vital, fitting right into India's Sagar vision, security and growth for all in the region.
How so?
Well, maritime security, trade routes. Tanzania is also a key member of IRA, the Indian Ocean Rim Association. So cooperation with Tanzania, whether it's naval exercises or port development, directly supports India's regional strategy.
Got it. Moving on, the MacGregor Memorial Medal. Sounds historical.
It is. 5 military personnel recently received it for contributions to reconnaissance, exploration, and adventure. It was actually instituted way back on July 3rd, 1888.
1888? Wow.
Yes, in memory of Major General Sir Charles Metcalfe MacGregor. He was also the founder of the United Service Institution of India, the USI.
And its purpose back then.
Initially, it was all about recognizing military reconnaissance and exploration, particularly in areas like Central Asia, Afghanistan, Tibet, Burma, places strategically important during the British Raj. After independence, its scope expanded to include significant adventure activities too, reflecting India's own priorities.
Who can receive it?
It's open to all ranks, serving or retired, across the Indian Armed Forces, the Territorial Army, and the Assam Rifles. So quite broad eligibility.
Any famous past recipients we might know?
Oh yes, people like Captain F.E. Younghusband, Major General Ord Wingate, Major Z.C. Bakshi, Colonel Marinder Kumar, famous for Siachen exploration, and more recently, naval officers like Commander Dilip Dande and Lieutenant Commander Abhilash Tomi for their solo global circumnavigations.
Quite a range of achievements. And the USI, the institution he founded.
The United Service Institution of India, USI. It's basically India's oldest independent think tank focused on national security and defense. Founded in Simla in 1870, now based in New Delhi, it plays a key role in strategic discourse.
Important institution to be aware of. All right, infrastructure next. The Silkyara Bend-Barkot Tunnel breakthrough, described as a historic milestone. Why?
It's a major step forward for connectivity in Uttarakhand. This tunnel is about 4.5 kilometers long, 2 lanes, bidirectional, and importantly, it has an escape passage. It's on the Darasa-Yamunotri section of NH 134.
And the big benefit is?
Travel time. It's expected to cut the journey time by about an hour. That's huge in mountainous terrain. It will significantly improve all-weather accessibility to the Yamunotri Shrine, which is about 50 kilometers further on, and also helps access towards Badrinath and Kedarnath.
A key part of the Chardam project, then.
Exactly. It's a vital link in the Chardam plan. Construction wasn't easy either. About 90% was excavated through phyllite, which is a very weak rock.
So how did they manage that?
They used the new Austrian tunneling method, or NEM. It's a modern technique that relies more on the inherent strength of the surrounding rock, using flexible support and sophisticated monitoring as you go. It's well suited for difficult geology. The project is funded under the NHO scheme.
Okay, good to know. Now let's jump to Indonesia. Mount Lewotobi erupted recently.
Yes, on Flores Island in Indonesia's East Nusa Tenggara province. It triggered flight warnings. This area is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, so volcanic activity isn't uncommon, but Lewotobi is one of the more frequently active ones there.
Anything specific about this volcano we should know?
It's actually a twin volcano. You have Lewotobi Laki-Laki, which means man, and Lewotobi Perempuan, meaning woman. They're different heights and have different eruption histories.
Which one erupted?
The reports indicate Lewotobi Laki-Laki is the one currently active. It's been the more frequently active peak historically, especially in the 19th and 20th centuries. Lewotobi Perempuan has only erupted twice in recorded history.
And what type of volcano is it?
It's classified as a stratovolcano or a composite volcano. These are the typical cone-shaped volcanoes, often associated with more explosive eruptions. They also have small lava domes in their summit craters.
Right. Now for something quite different, type 5 diabetes. Officially recognized now?
Yes, by the International Diabetes Federation. This is quite significant. It's being recognized as a distinct form of diabetes.
And who does it affect mainly?
Primarily lean, undernourished teenagers and young adults. typically in low and middle income countries, LMICs.
So how is it different from, say, type 2 diabetes?
The key difference is the cause. Unlike type 2, which is mainly about insulin resistance, type 5 seems to be caused by malnutrition leading to a reduced capacity of the pancreas, specifically the beta cells, to produce insulin. So it's about severely reduced insulin secretion, not resistance.
Interesting. Is this a completely new discovery?
Not entirely. Similar conditions were reported decades ago, like J-type diabetes in Jamaica in the 50s, and WHO even had a category called malnutrition-related diabetes mellitus back in 1985, though they removed it later.
Yeah.
But cases kept being reported across the global south, India, Sri Lanka, parts of Africa, Korea.
So it's a re-recognition based on persistent evidence.
Exactly. It's estimated to affect perhaps 25 million people globally. The clinical markers are quite distinct. Very low BMI, extremely low insulin levels, even lower than type 2, closer to type 1, low body fat, and clear signs of inadequate nutrition, especially protein and micronutrients.
But I see a note about a discrepancy in sources, something about genetics.
Yes, that's important to clarify. One source mentions type 5 in relation to specific genetic mutations in an FAQ section, which seems different from the primary description focusing on malnutrition. This might indicate the definition is still evolving, or perhaps there are subtypes under this new classification. Science is always refining these things.
Understood. Let's move back to defense. Exercise DUSTLIK-VI between India and Uzbekistan.
Right, the 6th edition of this joint military exercise. It's an annual affair, alternating locations between the two countries. This year it's happening at the Foreign Training Node in Ond, Pune.
And
The theme is joint multi-domain subconventional operations in a semi-urban scenario. Basically, it simulates counterterrorism operations, specifically dealing with scenarios where terrorists might try to capture territory in a town or city-like environment.
Who's participating?
India has about 60 personnel, mainly from a JAT regiment battalion, plus some IAF support. They're training alongside troops from the Uzbekistan Army.
What kind of activities will they do?
They'll set up a joint operations center, practice things like controlling civilian populations during operations, conducting raids, search and destroy missions, and coordinating firepower, including air assets. There's also a significant special forces component from both sides, working on specialized missions like securing helipads, reconnaissance, inserting and extracting small teams using helicopters, things like SHBO and STI, and using drones and counter-drone measures.
So air power is integrated too.
Right. Yes. The IAF's role is highlighted for providing logistical support even in hostile conditions, emphasizing that crucial air-land integration needed for modern operations. The overall goal is enhancing joint counterterrorism skills and interoperability.
Okay. Next, the U.S. Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System, or NMESIS, deployed for exercises in the Philippines.
That's the report, yes. The Philippines confirmed the U.S. deployed NMESIS for this year's Balikatan exercises.
What exactly is NMESIS?
It's an anti-ship missile system designed for the U.S. Marine Corps. It allows them to attack ships from land, supporting the Navy's sea control efforts. It basically consists of the Navy's Naval Strike Missile, the NSM, mounted on an unmanned ground vehicle.
An unmanned vehicle?
Yes, an unmanned version of the Oshkosh Joint Light Tactical Vehicle, or JLTV. They call this specific unmanned platform the Rodege Fires Vehicle, that stands for a remotely operated ground unit for expeditionary fires.
So it drives itself. But who fires the missile?
The vehicle itself has advanced autonomous tech for mobility, but the system isn't fully autonomous for firing. A Marine operator is still needed for the mission planning and actually launching the missile. It can be operated remotely or in a leader-follower mode with other vehicles.
And the missile itself, the NSM?
It's a pretty capable multi-mission cruise missile. It can hit moving maritime targets over 100 nautical miles away, so about 185 kilometers. It has an advanced seeker for precision, and it's designed to be stealthy, flying low and maneuvering to evade radar. Carries a decent-sized warhead, too.
Interesting development in land-based sea denial. Finally, Magellan-25, hosted by the Indian Navy. What was this about?
This was the 3rd edition of the Navy's Meteorological and Oceanological Symposium. The timing coincided with World Meteorological Day, March 23rd, and commemorated the formation of the World Meteorological Organization, the WMO.
And the theme?
It was closing the early warning gap together. So, a strong focus on improving early warning systems for climate-related hazards and enhancing disaster preparedness. Very relevant given recent climate events.
Any key launches or outcomes?
Yes, 2 things were highlighted. First, the launch of MOSDAQ UFO Web Services. This is a joint initiative between the Navy's Directorate of Naval Oceanology and Meteorology and ISRO's Space Application Center. It provides customized satellite-derived weather products directly to Naval Met offices.
Enhancing their forecasting ability.
Precisely, using space-based assets more effectively. Second, they relaunched the Navy's professional journal, Sagar Manthan, after a gap of about 10 years. This provides a platform for discussing professional meteorology and oceanography issues within the maritime domain.
And it also touched upon the WMO.
Yes, reinforcing the importance of the WMO as the UN's specialized agency coordinating global weather, climate, and water monitoring and research. It evolved from the older International Meteorological Organization, founded way back in 1873. WMO itself was formed in 1950, headquartered in Geneva. Understanding these international bodies is useful context, so quite a range we've covered today, from digital security with waves to Google's AI chips, climate signals in Tanzania, historical metals, major tunnel breakthroughs, volcanic activity, diabetes reclassification, joint military exercises, new missile systems, and naval meteorology focus.
Absolutely. Each piece connects in some way to the broader picture relevant for the UPSC syllabus. We really hope this deep dive has given you a solid overview and maybe sparked some areas you want to explore further on your own.
Think of this as a starting point for your own analysis.
Exactly. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Considering the increasing frequency of events like the Mount Lewotobi eruption or that record temperature in Tanzania, alongside advancements like Ironwood and challenges like digital piracy, how significantly do you think this interplay between climate change, technology, and global security will reshape India's strategic priorities in the coming years? Something to ponder.
Indeed. If you found today's discussion helpful for your UPSC journey, please do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with more deep dives into current affairs tailored for you.